All right, what do you say, everybody? Friday night, we're normally doing the Bama Insider Tailgate Show, but because of the postponement of Alabama and LSU, Trey Hannity and me, Mick Gillispie, are going to talk football with you guys. I don't know, at least an hour. We'll see. We'll see how this thing
Yeah.
goes tonight. But we're going to take some calls and we're going to kind of report what's going on around the world of college football. Trey is a student at Alabama. He's part of the SEC network there. I'm Mick Gillispie, obviously your humble host tonight. Kyle Henderson is on assignment. Trey, what is going on at the university? I guess I got to ask you that right now. Give me the student's perspective on what's going on campus.
I think the students are starting to get a little bit sad because the semester is wrapping up. The bar time is running out. The football time is obviously running out. Everybody's upset over the cancellation this weekend, but all things are well. We had some rainy days this week, cleaned everything up. It's beautiful now. We're going to have a great weekend. It's going well. How things are on your end right now?
Look, I mean, I'm disappointed. We were going to be at the Floribama for the show tonight, so that's kind of near and dear to my heart. My buddy John McKinnis is part of the ownership. We went to school together at Alabama, and he owns the best beach bar in the world, right? I mean, place that you run in the stars, and then maybe some people like Big Earl that are just there all the time. And for those of you that have been there on the line before, right? You know what I'm talking about, right there on the beach, on the line between Florida and Alabama. But I started going there probably when I was younger than you, Trey, and I've been having a good time at that place for a long time. So I'm looking forward to going back there. We're going to do the Arkansas game there and the LSU makeup, and I guess that kind of gets us to where we're going to start this show tonight. Games on, games off in the SEC. It's been weird because of COVID, and it's not like there has been this massive outbreak, okay? But you postpone games, and a lot of it, from what I understand, has to do more with contact tracing than actual cases. So if you get 3 or 4 guys that have it, everybody's kind of got to be quarantined, and so that's kind of what we're going through right now. So Alabama and LSU, obviously that game postponed. The word postponed tells me, Trey, that they're going to try to make it up again. And then I actually saw a couple of tentative schedules that had Alabama playing LSU as early as next week. So we'll talk about that a little later. Alabama, LSU, though, not alone in the SEC. Georgia, Missouri, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Auburn and Mississippi State, all those games are postponed. The fact that you have 4 games postponed actually helps you a little bit as far as making these games up if you want to do it. They want to get them made up, though, before the December 19th championship game. And then you got games that are going to be played. You got Vandy at Kentucky. Vandy versus Kentucky, Florida and Arkansas, and then South Carolina and Ole Miss. So we got some games going on this weekend in the conference. It's like we want to see Alabama, but at least they haven't caught off the season, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a weird weekend. I think this is what everybody feared, getting into the season, starting to get some records, some implications for certain teams, and then we have to stop all of a sudden, and you get some breakouts. Obviously, in Baton Rouge, this is not the first time this season that they've had it happen, but around the SEC, it's you're seeing certain schools start to have breakouts, and it's definitely some cause for worry. But I think in the grand scheme of things, this is just a roadblock for the conference. This is a roadblock for the country right now. As cancellations going on all over the nation. But I think this is something that you just have to take this week off and get everybody right, get everybody. Like you said, it was contact tracing more than actual case number. And with LSU, this is a team too. We talked about it on our Monday Night Quarterback show that already, was missing certain spots because of opt-outs and whatnot. They weren't even going to have a tight end on their roster eligible for this game with COVID and everything else. So I understand the cancellation there. You got to hope that this is not a pattern. This is just, 1 week that it got bad in some places. Thankfully for Alabama, they had their breakout early on. So you have to hope that that's going to be good enough to get them through the season. And this is just a week that, the fans have to be a little upset with no Alabama football. Still great football on around the country, though.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Did want to send out our condolences, anyone around the Kentucky program. John Schlarman, the offensive line coach, passed away yesterday. He'd been battling illness and still kept coming out to practice. And I didn't know him, but from everything that I've heard, an inspiration to this team that'll play Vandy tomorrow. You don't see a lot of coaches that are active actually, die, and it's just like a shock to all of us in the SEC. So, our heartfelt condolences and prayers go out to the Schlarman family and Kentucky as well. So, then that's not the only news from Kentucky. Kind of talking about the Cats, their women's basketball coach suddenly retired as well. So it's kind of weird, like
Yeah.
kind of having, one thing after the next down there. But obviously the death of John Schlarman is a big one for the Cats, who have been a pretty good team this year. And and since Mike Stoops took over, they've been tough. They have maybe the second best defense. I'm going to put them right behind Georgia, and they're Alabama's opponent next week. At least right now they are next week.
Yeah, no, this is a Kentucky team that's definitely shown some signs this year. Their defenses look great in that Georgia-Kentucky game. They held the Dogs to 13, and they lost that game by 10 points. So some positives for this team heading into the Bama week. You got to hope the game's played, though, at this point, that everything is settled up by then. They're able to go. But I think if it is played, this could be a Kentucky team that gives Bama a little bit of a fight. Alabama is leaps and bounds better than this team offensively. And, it's going to be a good test for Alabama's offense on the other side of that coin, too, because they haven't faced too many defenses that can really challenge them this year. So it'll be a good game. Definitely one you don't want to overlook. It's easy to do that the week before the Auburn game, as we typically do. Typically, it's not a Kentucky, though. Usually it's a UT Chattanooga or Mercer or somebody at that level. So, this will be a nice little test heading into that weekend, and definitely a team you want to look out for. It's crazy to think that Mike Stoops has been there now for what, 5 years, 6 years at this point?
Yeah, I wanted to go over this with you, just talking about Alabama's schedule coming up. I was forwarded the possibility of two schedules. I don't know how legitimate these are or not, but, after all the postponements, the commissioner said, the SEC, Commissioner Sankey said, hey, look, we want to play these games. I know that everyone might not agree with me, but I think the guy's done an excellent job getting the games played and pushing for these games to be played, and I hope he continues that. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. It's been awesome just having something to look forward to through this time of COVID and everything else crazy going on in 2020. So, and especially for Alabama, I mean, selfishly, it's like one of these things here where you're going, hey, Alabama has a chance to win a national championship. Mick and grandson Trey. Thanks.
I like that. Yeah. Man.
Thanks, Jonathan, for telling me I'm old. All right, well, look, I've been around the block a few times, though, Trey. I will agree with that. All right, well, here's the scenarios that I got as far as Alabama's schedule could possibly be, right? Now, this was earlier this week, and then, I don't know what the situation is going to be, contact tracing and all that stuff going into this week, but this is how Alabama could play all 4 games going into, I'm guessing they'll be in the SEC championship game, right? LSU next week at LSU, then they play the Iron Bowl the next week, right? So they would move the Iron Bowl. Would that be moving the Iron Bowl up one? No, I guess it would, right? Yeah, it would. And then
the current schedule
it'd be up a week, right? And then they play at Arkansas, and then on December 5th, and then they would play Kentucky on December 12th, right? Or wait, December 12th is the open week. Okay, so so all those games are still on track then, right? The only difference would be they would flip-flop in this scenario A, Kentucky and LSU, right? Because LSU has to play Florida in that open date, right? So again, scenario A that I got, where Alabama could play LSU, would be play LSU this week, then Auburn at home on the 28th like scheduled, then Arkansas on December 5th like scheduled, which, by the way, we'll be back at Floribama on December 4th on Friday night. So if you're looking for somewhere fun to hang out, come hang out with us down on the line at the Floribama for this show, 6 to 8 on that Friday. And then they play Kentucky. They make the Kentucky game up on December 12th. So that's one scenario. Scenario B would be you play Kentucky like scheduled on the 21st. You play Auburn on the 28th. That game was scheduled. You play LSU on the 5th. And then you flip-flop back and play Arkansas, who you were going to play on the 5th, on the 12th. And that may make more sense just because I heard the commissioner saying this week that there's a possibility where you have games on the 19th besides what I'm guessing is going to be Alabama and Florida in the SEC title game. So you could still get all 10 games made up, right, Trey? But you would play some games where they didn't really have championship. They were just teams that are making up their schedule games. possibly playing for a bowl game or something. But, maybe you play those on the 19th around the SEC title game.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, you have to make sure that the teams that are set up for success right now, the teams that are looking to have some big time success, like the Alabamas, the Floridas, the Georgias, are not playing games that won't necessarily matter to their schedule. You want to play every game. You want to be able to get all of these games in. But you also, if you're the SEC, you want to put out a product, in a title game. Let's say it's Alabama and Florida, like it's looking like it's going to be. You want both of those teams to be healthy and rested. I think that if you play the December 12th game, you maybe risk players getting hurt or guys not being 100% for that title game. I would think the SEC would try to avoid that date at all costs, for Alabama and Florida if they could. But all of these are definitely reasonable. Put the schedule back up here again. I think that if you're going to eliminate one of these games, I think you eliminate the Kentucky game or the Arkansas game, just because you're going to get that big TV money for LSU. It's just, it's the bigger ticket. It's a sexier pick there. Alabama LSU is always going to be, one that people want to see. So I think you make that game up any way you draw it. I think you're going to play Auburn on schedule. There's, nothing that's in the way of that. But then I think it really comes down to do you cancel one of those two, Arkansas or Kentucky, or do you play on that open day just a week before the SEC title? It's going to be interesting to see. But I do think that the SEC so far has shown that they're committed to making sure those 4 games are played. So we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, and if I'm Commissioner Sankey, I want all 10 games played. Look, if you don't have an off week between the championship game and your last game, that's just the way it goes. I mean, what I want to see is the SEC continue to push to get all 10 of these games in, right? The Big Ten commissioner came out this week. This is the same Big Ten commissioner that, they canceled their season and then came back. And now all of a sudden, he's the guy that's kind of got the flag for pushing the season back. I mean, I'm just not down with that, man. I'm so sick of the Big Ten and they can't make their mind up and everything else. Look, you guys decided to sit at home. You didn't come up with a contingency plan. The SEC did. The SEC took some time off. It was a brilliant idea. Hey, kids are going to get back to campus like you, Trey. You're going to do all the things that college kids do, and that includes, going to the bars and hanging out and going to class and mingling. Everybody went through the COVID thing. It was pretty bad for about a couple days, and then really it thinned out, and then we played football, right? And then the conference built in not 1 but 2 bye weeks just to have makeup game dates, and the Big Ten didn't, right?
No.
Do I want to see the Big Ten play? Yes, but I do not want the season pushed back to February.
Yeah, and I think you hate it too for all the kids in these conferences, because it's like, you look at the social media posts, you look at everything else. They wanted to play as the SEC and the ACC and these other conferences have. They wanted to work it out to where, we're going to take every precaution necessary. We're going to do what it takes, maybe schedule a bye week here and there, but we want to start on time. We want our season. For a second there, when it was canceled, it was like, man, there's how many kids in the Big Ten that didn't realize they were playing their last game or this or that. And it comes down to one individual. I think that's the worst part of it all. One man made that decision. You had Ohio State's athletic director come out, Penn State's athletic director come out and say, you know what, we really didn't come to a consensus decision to cancel our season. It kind of came down to what he wanted to do. So when it comes to the Big Ten, I think the committee and everybody will take all of that into consideration and realize that they messed things up. But if you're in the SEC like you and I are, I think it works out to your favor, because Greg Sankey continues to set the example of how things should be done through this process, and they've executed it beautifully so far. Other than, this week with the outbreaks, it's been flawless, and those are out of his control. So, I think you just got to keep your head down and trust the process, do what you've been doing as the SEC, and, just hope for the best. It is going to get dicey, though. We saw a comment a second ago. I think maybe even moving the championship games back would be the best decision. I don't think they do that just because of the stakes, the TV, everything else, but that might be a viable option, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, as of earlier this week when I heard, the commissioner talking, he said, hey, we want to get them in. We want to play that game on the 19th and then, kind of move on from there. You start moving things back, and then all of a sudden everything gets dicey. And then they're talking about, well, we're going to cancel this or we're going to cancel that. Look, we got through the NBA. We got through the MLB, right? We're going through the NFL right now. We knew that this would eventually be an issue. It is an issue. We're working through it. And you know what? We took some games off, but there are still a lot of games on the schedule. A couple things for you guys that are out there watching right now. First off, we want to hear from you. We're going to start taking your calls, get your opinion on this. 0883. So it's 205-850-0883. You can call in right now. We'll take your calls and and kind of get your opinion on what's going on. The other thing that I ask is give us the thumbs up. Look, we got, about 100 people back and forth. We should have 100 thumbs up. Not just because, look, it's free. You're hanging out with us. Just say thanks, whether you agree or you disagree with Trey or Mick or whoever on the message board. Look, we're having a lot of fun tonight on a Friday when, we expected to have our pregame show for Alabama and LSU, and instead, we're here kicking it with you guys. Super chats are really appreciated, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber, man. We hit 40,000 subscribers. We're pushing hard for 50. When I signed on at the beginning of the season, we had like 34,000. So you guys have been awesome. You're a big part of this whole thing, which is Bama Insider and the Alabama Rival site. So we appreciate it. If you're not a member, if you haven't subscribed, it's free, man. Subscribe and then schedule shows like this and hang out with us. So, and again, phone lines are open as we talk about Alabama and the schedule and the future of, college football this year. 205-850-0883. That's the phone number with Trey ready to answer those calls and get you guys on the air. So, well, look, man, I mean, it's not just the SEC in action this weekend. I'm really excited about a couple of games. First off, I got to talk about Notre Dame, okay? They won the biggest game that they've won in 15 years. They beat Florida State 15 years ago, and then they beat – that's the last time they beat number one, right? Was it 15 years ago? It may be even longer than that. Anyway, they beat number one, and then the next week they played Boston College, and they got stunned. They play Boston College this week. It's weird looking at Notre Dame with a 2 next to it because I always kind of feel like Notre Dame is the most overrated team in college football every year. They're a 12-point favorite at Boston College. That'll be tomorrow at 2:30 on ABC. I'm going to be – I don't know if that's going to be the main game I'm watching, but it'll be on one of the TVs that is on where I'm watching football.
Yeah, this is going to be a good game. I mean, Boston College these last 2 weeks have figured it out defensively to an extent. They allowed Clemson to come back in that game. But this team has turned it around, and I think Notre Dame is riding off this big Clemson win, maybe overlooking this game to an extent, but it's going to be a great one. Another weird stat about that Notre Dame team, I think Miami had a 36-game winning streak going into that game the last time they beat number one. Clemson had a 36-game winning streak going into their game on Saturday. So a weird deal. They play Boston College after both of those. So I don't Notre Dame, they have the four-leaf clovers and everything. There's some weird voodoo stuff going on up there. But, I think they'll be fine in this one. I think Notre Dame is the kind of team that, just kind of figures it out. Ian Book has come along. That defense has been pretty elite this season. So, I think they'll keep it going. I think they're looking ahead to that ACC title game. If they find a way to win that, they're a lock, obviously. But if they don't, I think Notre Dame has to worry about getting into the playoffs still because the committee's going to say, well, you know what? They beat a Clemson team without Trevor Lawrence and this and that. I still think they probably have to win out to make the playoff, unless it's, a tooth and nail game the second time around with Clemson.
I agree, man. I think Notre Dame's got to win to make it. Like I feel like that even though that was a really great win, they're going to have to do it again, and whether it's Trevor Lawrence or whoever else, I mean, to make the college football playoff, Notre Dame's going to have to win too. Phone lines are open. If you guys want to talk college football with Trey and I, it's 205-850-0883. All right, Trey, a couple of other games that I'm looking forward to watching. One, when we go off the air tonight, number 7, Cincinnati, or if you're from that area, you may even call it Cincinnati, which, did you know that? It's Cincinnati.
I've heard
Cincinnati, yeah.
I don't think it's quite as serious as Louisville. they take that,
Louisville.
that
Yeah.
pronunciation very seriously. But yeah,
I used to work in baseball with a former Red named coach for the Reds named Russ Nixon. He was also the Atlanta Braves manager. He was the third base coach for the Big Red Machine. But he grew up in Cincinnati, and he would say Cincinnati, Mick, Cincinnati. That, and I had to drink Blanton's bourbon with him because that's and it had a horse on there. He's a big horse guy. Number 6 Cincinnati, or number 7 Cincinnati against East Carolina. That's a 28-point spread. Cincinnati is 6-0, so they're probably going to make it to 7-0. They're a part of these mid-majors, and I'm going to go through them right now that I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit of. Marshall, number 16 in the country, 6-0. They're a 24-point favorite over Middle Tennessee. Sometimes Middle Tennessee can give you trouble. They're just 2-5 this year, so not one of their better teams, but they're still scheduled to play. And Coastal Carolina and Troy postponed. I could not wait to see Coastal Carolina. One of my buddy's sons is a student there right now, so I was kind of like looking forward to seeing them in action, but they were postponed due to Corona, like a lot of teams were this week. So you got 2 of those games that are in action. SMU's 7-1 this year. They're ranked 19th. They're going to play as well. So some of the teams that you hear about, Liberty is also playing Western Carolina. Liberty is now ranked 22nd. Hugh Freeze getting a lot of run maybe to take over at Tennessee or at South Carolina, or somebody's going to come in the SEC and buy him, whether Commissioner Sankey likes it or not, right? Because he was going to be Alabama's offensive coordinator, we thought.
yeah.
And then that got shut down. But he's got Liberty out to 7-0 right now with a group of transfers and junior college guys, and his offense. They are an exciting team. So, and they've still got a few games left on the schedule. So those teams are going to be playing tomorrow, and I can't wait to kind of just see what we got with them.
No, yeah, this is intriguing this year to see so many group of 5 teams kind of, make that jump into the rankings. It's, you typically see 3 or 4 a season. You see the Western Michigans, bounce in there. Obviously, SMU, the American Conference, has had quite a run with UCF and these other schools bouncing in. But this year, it just feels like they're all out, throughout the top 25. And I think this is kind of the steps needed to be taken for the group of 5 schools to be genuinely considered for the playoff. I'm going to say it, even if they go undefeated, even if they, win every game, the rest of the games by 30 points, I still don't think Cincinnati makes the playoff. I think there's other schools that go to with 1 loss, like a Texas A&M or, a Clemson, obviously, or Notre Dame, depending on how that shakes out. I think they still give them the nod over Cincinnati, even in Oregon. You got to keep the Pac-12 in mind. I know they haven't played quite as many games, and they won't, but, I just don't think Cincinnati, the American Conference, any group of 5 school is going to be in the playoff quite yet. But I think this is what they need. They need, really some, to put some respect on the name. You see Coastal Carolina, a team that was FCS just, 3 seasons ago? Now they're in the top 15. It's getting there, but, I think it's still going to take some time before we see a Cincinnati or UCF or one of these schools in the top 25. Definitely some bigger wins are needed to even start to scratch the surface on that, I think.
He's Trey Yanity. I'm Mick Gillispie. Hey, guys, we appreciate you watching on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. This is Alabama Rivals channel, and we appreciate you being here with us tonight. Give us the thumbs up, subscribe to the station, and hang out with us on a Friday night. Next Friday, we will have the Bama Insider Tailgate Show back in action again. Right now, we're scheduled to be at Rounders on the Strip as Alabama plays Kentucky. If that schedule holds up, they may switch things around. I got my fingers crossed that we just have football next Friday night. So at 6 o'clock on Friday, swing by and say, hey, I've got some Daniel Moore New Life Art calendars. And as you can see in my studio here, I've got a lot of great stuff from one of the best artists in not just sports, but in all the world of art, Daniel A. Moore. So we're going to have some of those calendars. Nick Saban's on the cover this year. It's all paintings from the Nick Saban era. So I'll have some of those to give out. If you come by and see me at Rounders, we're right there where, if you walk down the strip, even if you don't come inside, you could say, hey, Mick, I watched the show. I'm going to throw you one of those, and I appreciate you coming by and hanging out with us. Tonight, we're taking your calls at 205-850-0883. Call in if you want to get in on the conversation with Trey and I. We're talking Alabama possible schedules, scenarios moving forward. We just want to see college football. I mean, like, I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, I start talking to people that I've known a long time that are big time in this business, and they say, you know what, man, I just hope we can get through the season. We've had one bad week. You know what I mean? Like, we've had one bad week. We don't need to flip out and just start canceling everything again. We've had one bad week. It's just, it was Halloween. A lot of the guys got out. Trey, you went out and did your Halloween thing. All you kids did that. You picked up the coronavirus, some of you guys. We just got to get through this, get back on track again, do our social distancing, and play some college football. Be like, I'm like saying, hey, let's not cancel anything. I don't want to cancel anything. I just want to see Bama play LSU. Do you have the video? Would you mind playing that for me? Or you want me to pull it up here?
If you don't mind pulling it up, yeah.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this for everybody.
Call line
because the thing. Look, I don't dislike Ed Orgeron. Okay, like I don't dislike the guy. Like I find him very entertaining, right? But I mean, when you win one game against Alabama, you win one time in 8 and 9 tries, right? You got the best team you ever had, and you barely win.
Best team in college football history.
Right, one of the best teams ever. I'm not ready to anoint them the best ever, but I'll tell you what, their offense was as good as it gets, right?
Oh yeah.
But you don't, and this is the way that you talk after that one win.
Right in the middle of the field, everybody. Hey, we've been waiting for this moment, man. Let's go. Right here in the middle of the damn field. Let's bring it down. Tigers on 3. Hell yeah. Because this is our house from now on. Yes, sir. Tigers on 3. 1, 2, 3. Tigers.
I just want this game played, man. Like, I just want to see Alabama play that guy. Yeah. Like, he's like the guy that had too much booze at the wedding. Like, you're like, okay, look, man, so-and-so's uncle or so-and-so's he's drunk. We got to get this guy home. We don't want him embarrassing the family anymore, right? Like I could see him like taking a glass and like banging on with a spoon on it and like having this speech, and halfway through the speech, everybody's uncomfortable, right? You won one game. You won one game out of 9, and most of them you guys got your butts whooped. And then you show up and you get on the middle of the field and you say that. And then what's even better about LSU is that their players run over to Alabama's recruiting section and start popping their shirts and pointing in there and saying, come play with us. Like the world's changed because you won one football game. And then, Trey, just to even top it off, only a way that your drunk uncle or somebody's drunk uncle at a wedding would, he goes into the locker room and one of the players leaks out the video of him saying, roll tide, what, and then dropping F-bombs on us. Do you think we want this game postponed and not played this year? Like, I don't care about Kentucky. Honestly, I would even trade the Iron Bowl. I know that's sacrilegious for an Alabama grad like me. I mean, I've got the diploma right behind me, and I don't like Auburn. But I'm telling you, this particular year, and Auburn's got one coming to them too, but at least they're classy when they win. This right here is, this guy is screaming for the Alabama-LSU game, and he's begging in that video. I almost feel like playing it again to get what's coming to him. And look, maybe they win. Maybe they turn their season around. He said they're going to beat Alabama in recruiting. Remember the video? They're going to beat Alabama every time they see him. So that would be on the football field and recruiting. I'm sure in the classroom. I'm sure they're going to beat them in how they dress. They're going to beat them everywhere. So I want to see the football game. Is that too much to say?
You said wedding, Mick. I think that was even a little kind. I think he had too many beers at a crawfish boil or something like that. I think that might be more. But I mean, shoot, how do we know this guy didn't release the virus just so this game couldn't be played? No, I mean, it's tragic. This is one that we've been waiting on for so long. Just to see Alabama get their revenge. And I almost wish it was a better LSU team, if you know what I mean. I wish this LSU team was going to be bringing more of a threat. So when you beat them, it feels a little bit more satisfying. But no, this is timely, if nothing else. And I think LSU fully understands what's coming either way. last year they were excited. It got out of hand. Things got crazy. It was maybe a product of us, of journalists, of fans, of everybody else making it into the game of the century, 1 versus 2. College game day. The president of the United States is in the crowd. I think it was a product of that moment, but it went too far. And then in the locker room and everything. This has been long time coming here for this Alabama team. People forget they didn't allow them a single point in the game before that on the road at LSU. This was going to be the first time these two teams played in that stadium since that night. I think Alabama was going to do the same thing and, maybe try to hang a few more points than just 29 like they did back in 2019. Sad this one's not going to be played. Hopefully, we can only hope and pray that this one is made up in that December 12th date or sometime down the road.
Look, guys, as you watch, I want to remind you that if you want to call in and jump on the show, 205-850-0883. Would love to hear from you tonight. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and chat. I love the chats. Here's one from JL. He's coming at me. He says, Auburn is classy when they win. On what planet does this happen? Look, Jay, first off, Jay, I'm not taking up for Auburn. But we don't have videos of their coach in the locker room and on the field saying stuff like that. Now, I will say this, Jay. I was there through part of the thumb, right? Who, by the way, now is a politician, Tommy Tuberville for Alabama. But back when I was there, he was a coach. And if it wouldn't have been for the thumb, I don't know that we would have Nick Saban right now. I don't know if Mal Moore would have felt the pressure that I need to fly down to Miami and sit in this guy's house and beg him to come, okay? I've had a lot of bad experiences at the Iron Bowl. I've had a lot of great experiences at the Iron Bowl. Matter of fact, I was at the first time that Alabama ever beat Auburn down there on the plains. I've even been to a bunch of the Iron Bowls back when it was really the Iron Bowl when we used to play in Birmingham. My first game ever was an Iron Bowl. You can see the picture right there behind me. Dennis Riddle scoring in 1996 on one of the last plays. 37 seconds left. Freddie Kitchens drove down the field, kept throwing little dump-offs to Dennis Riddle. Alabama won that game by a point, right? I get it. The Iron Bowl is an intense rivalry. But that coach going on the field and saying that, and then that locker room, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't remember. I guess just because Auburn always has the Auburn luck, the Auburn Jesus play where, like, the ball hits somebody's helmet and then bounces for a touchdown somehow, or Mark Ingram fumbles and the ball, like, goes, like, 30 yards down the field and doesn't go out of bounds. Like, Auburn's lucky, right? But just seeing that video and thinking of Ed Orgeron, like, now he's got a book out, Ed Orgeron. Like, I saw him on 60 Minutes. He's, like, doing this video. He did you see this, Trey? He's like running without a shirt on campus. It's like, I get it. You lift weights all the time, man, but you're past that day where you run without a shirt on.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I think we have our first caller tonight, Mick. We got Randy from Foley on the line. I'm disturbed, though, by these images. I didn't hear all of this.
Hey, Randy, what's up, man?
Yes, not much.
We're near each other. I'm down in Fairhope right now, so we're doing it from the coast tonight. You gonna come see us in Floribama?
Oh, I would, but I'm babysitting my kids tonight. My wife's at work.
Well, that'll be the Arkansas game. We'll be there for the Friday night show, the Bama Insider Tailgate show. But anyway, what do you want to talk about tonight?
I think we should cancel the Kentucky game because it's an out-of-division game, and put the LSU there and bring them to Tuscaloosa.
Hey, look, I don't care where we play these guys. I mean, we can play them in Montgomery.
No, I want it in Tuscaloosa so we can give them their butt whipping they deserve.
Oh, look, they're going to get – here's the thing, man. It doesn't matter where this game's played. It's not going to turn out very good for them. I mean, I just can't imagine a scenario where you put those uniforms on, and it may be the JV LSU team. Alabama, you got to know, going into that game, they're going to be playing that Ed Orgeron sound all week long.
Well, I don't know if Ed O knows that Alabama has a winning record in LSU Stadium. So basically, it's our house, but we don't brag.
No, that's not our way. That's not our way. I mean, like, what was it? 1969 to 2000, Alabama did not lose in Baton Rouge. or against LSU on the road. Isn't that crazy, like, to have a streak that went on that long? It was like from Bear Bryant until Mike Dubose, and then it was Nick Saban that ended that streak. And then, but Alabama always seems to, and it's a tough place in Death Valley. I've been there a bunch to win, but Alabama just plays really well down there.
I don't believe the COVID outbreak, but that's the story they want to put out.
Yeah. Anything else, Randy?
No, that's it. I just wanted to put my piece in.
Hey, thanks for calling, man. We appreciate it, and roll tide. That's Randy from Foley. Foley, you go right through Foley on the way to the beach, guys. Like, you go to Orange Beach, take that expressway, and you end up in Foley. If you go through Gulf Shores, you hit a lot of traffic lights, but it's a lot of good restaurants there. Would love to hear from you as we talk about Alabama upcoming schedule. And look, I'm thinking it's a possibility that you trade out Kentucky for LSU. I think you got to play the games in the West before you play the games in the East. And if it's a possibility where you have to pick one over the other, I think LSU has to take priority. I really do. And it's not just because, I'm hyping up this game and, we're talking about, wanting to see Alabama and LSU and Ed Orgeron. Let's go back to the phones again. Robert from Mobile, staying down here in the Gulf Coast, man. What's up, Robert?
Hey guys, I totally agree with you on the Kentucky game. I mean, if it being an out of division game, it should definitely be eliminated for the LSU game, which of course everybody wants to see way more than they want to see Alabama Kentucky. So if the SEC has any sense, they'll switch the game around where Alabama plays Kentucky. I mean, Alabama plays LSU in Baton Rouge, this game was originally scheduled, and the Kentucky game just doesn't happen. I'm sure you twist Kentucky's arm not to get boat raced by Alabama. They much rather LSU get boat raced by Alabama than condemn themselves. So won't be much arm twisting there to say we lose Alabama when we weren't supposed to have in the first place. What do we sign?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Look, I have a lot of respect for Mike Stoops and what he's been able to do at Kentucky. But the 10-game schedule, part of it was just because it's only SEC games, and we can, as a conference, regulate, the COVID protocols, right? So we can kind of say, hey, you know what we're going to do here is this is how we're going to test, and this is, what we expect from each team and all that stuff, and obviously they did a great job. We got 6 games in. And then, we've had some outbreaks. But Alabama LSU, to me, has got to be played. Like, over Alabama and Kentucky and some of these other games, like, I want to see the Iron Bowl too. But there's just so many reasons why that game is important. And honestly, I mean, if you take the last 15 years, maybe even the last 20 years, and you say, what was the biggest game in the SEC for that season, it's Alabama and LSU. Is this year the case? No, because LSU is one of the worst defending national champions in the history of college football right now. And I think that continues. But I honestly, Robert, look, I don't feel bad for him. You know what? I mean, yeah, you lost 19 guys off the starters and 31 guys, but then, you were talking so much smack. I mean, you got to back it up, right?
Absolutely, and we all want to see Alabama's revenge tour with Auburn and with LSU and Auburn, and we don't care what the situation is, and we're not going to set up no asterisks by this season either. It's a win, and us running you out of your own building is a win for us also. So we're not we don't give a rip. What do you think about this? Some of these ESPN analysts wanting to put Ohio State's quarterback over Mac Jones for the Heisman.
You know what, man? I mean, I don't know. Like, ESPN's kind of come off the rails a little bit since, when I was a kid. I remember like when Mike and Mike in the Morning and Dan Patrick and Tony Kornheiser and those guys, like you wanted a station in your town that had ESPN radio. I when I was a student at Alabama, I bartended. I had the late shift, so I would get up, like some nights I would get to bed really, really early in the morning, and I would wake up and it would be like the middle of the day, during the summers, and I would put on that radio and I'd be mad I missed like the morning show. It was so good. I turn it on now and I'm like, man, it's all these people that are just like, they're just trying to say stuff that is like, what can I say that's going to be so crazy that it gets under your skin, right? I mean, let's just look around college football. I honestly, and I've said this before on here. I was a Talia Tagovailoa guy. I mean, I thought like Talia was going to be the player we see at Maryland. I watched him in high school. I loved his brother. I thought, hey, look, he's going to be the next guy. I wasn't on the Mac Jones bandwagon. Mac Jones proved me wrong, and I got to tell you, I'm glad he did, because he came back bigger, stronger, smarter. He's the leader of the football team. He's this year's Joe Burrow, and you can't take that away from him. The way that he's able to read defenses, the touch that he has on the deep ball, there has not been a better quarterback, and even that includes Trevor Lawrence, who's pretty damn good. There's not been a better quarterback than Mac Jones. He deserves to be in that conversation. The only thing that's going to hold him back is that if he gets taken out of games that aren't played because of COVID. But in my mind,
and even that,
he's got to be like the top guy.
Yeah, and even that's not going to be an issue, because again, the strength of schedule. Like you said, ESPN went from my default channel. If I didn't watch anything else, I watched that to I don't watch any of the shows anymore. They've gone that far off the rails, as far as I'm concerned. But they used to harp strength of schedule every time when there's a way to belittle Alabama's schedule as being weak. When they would harp that constantly, so they're not talking about strength of schedule this season anymore. Now, and you think of Texas A&M and Georgia. What kind of a record you think they would have if they had Ohio State's schedule? You think they would have a loss?
Yeah, man. Come on. I mean, look, that's the problem that we have in the SEC. Is that we play this all SEC schedule, and our teams are like 2 and 3. You put them in the ACC, you put them in the Big Ten, and they're going to be like 2 or 3 of the top teams in the league. I mean, do you think Indiana comes down to the SEC and they're a contender? I mean, come on. I know what you're saying. It's like last year, strength of schedule was a big problem for Alabama. And it just is the way that it worked out, But they had a terrible strength of schedule, and I never argued with that. I mean, they just didn't play anybody, and the teams that they did play, they didn't beat, right? There were 2 of them, LSU and Auburn. But they played well against those teams, and I really felt like they still deserved to get that nod and get into the playoff. But when Tua was hurt, that cell was gone, and I got that. This year, all of a sudden, now you beat Texas A&M, and you beat Georgia. They'll probably beat Florida. We got to get there first, but you're going to have to beat Auburn. You're going to have to beat LSU on the way, and we'll see how the schedule works out. But it's funny how that is. But there's also this other thing going on too, Robert. I'm going to sound biased saying this, but Alabama has been ranked number 1 for 13 straight years at some point during the season. There is a fatigue that these media people have, and there's a dislike that some of these guys have at ESPN, and I don't get it, man. Like why wouldn't you just respect that you're seeing something that you might never see again with what Nick Saban's doing at Alabama?
Of course, and then that's the main thing. And worst part is you're hurting players who don't deserve. They haven't been there for. Mike Jones hasn't been there for 13 years, so don't belittle what the good things he's doing because you're tired of Nick Saban being on top for 13 years, which is what they tend to do. And they change the rules. They keep changing the rules of what makes you a Heisman contender. Mac Jones will have played the toughest schedule against better competition for anybody else for this Heisman, and his numbers put him at the top. What more can the guy do? What has Justin Fields done? Just beat 3 mediocre teams.
Yeah.
Again, you put Texas A&M or Georgia and give them Ohio State schedule. They run the table. Those 2 teams Alabama beat handily. They run the table in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So don't give me that. But with Ohio State, if you give Ohio State Georgia's schedule or Texas A&M schedule, Ohio State sweating bullets to run that schedule.
Well, I mean, I think that's why their commissioner came out and, he made news by saying, hey, there's some discussions on moving the playoff back. I think he's the one trying to push for that. Here's the same guy that didn't start their season. They weren't even going to have a season, right? They were going to not have a season. The ACC did an awesome job the way that they laid it out. The SEC did an awesome job the way that they laid it out. The Big Ten, it was like, maybe we need to do this. Like once it was too late to build in all of these bye weeks in case something like this happened this week. That's why they had the extra week before the championship game so that they could work through it, right? These guys don't have that. So now Maryland, Maryland beats Penn State for only the fourth time in program history. They've taken a lot of whoopings at their hands over the years, thanks to Talia, by the way, who was awesome in that game. They go out, they get COVID, or whatever it is that's going on there. They cancel the game. You don't have any dates to play that game now. So now you're down to 6 games, right? Or whatever it is, right? Or 7.
Exactly.
And then you lose another one to 6. Guess what? You're not even in the conversation. And I think that's why the Commissioner Sankey's got to push to have these games played. We need to play all 10 games. Then Alabama gets into the SEC title game. Work through it, get back to being smart. And I mean, I don't blame kids. Look, I went to the Halloween parties when I was in Tuscaloosa too, but it's a different situation right now. Hopefully this antidote that they're talking about today will be ready sometime soon. But at the end of the day, I love the way the SEC's doing it. Keep pushing to have these games played. That's all I want to see it, because if we play them, I think Mac's going to win the award.
I think a great call. And again, the LSU game. If you got to drop one, okay. Hopefully they're thinking about this. Okay, we'll drop the Kentucky game since it's already out of the division. Play the LSU game. So hopefully they'll do that and then scare Ogeron. He thought he ducked us, but you did really put the fear in the Ogeron. Okay, good talking with you, man.
Hey, thanks, Robert. Yeah, Robert's down there in Mobile, not too far from me. Actually, across the bay from where I'm at. And there's a lot of Tigers down here. There are a lot of Tigers, and they're fun to hang out with, the LSU Tigers. Like, they like to have a good time, but they did a lot of this right over my credentials. I'm just going to do that right now. Trey, jump back on with me here. They do a lot of this, and when you do that, I don't care. If you want to talk a big game, you just got to back it up, right? I mean, that's it. I mean, I think that's kind of the thing. Look, you want to go in and you want to talk all that mess.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want me to? Should I play it again for everybody? I mean, like I feel like Ed Orgeron kind of speaks for himself, but you want to come in and say, this is our house. We're going to beat these guys. Like, I can't. Kyle won't let me play the locker room video.
We don't even need to see it.
But you know what I'm talking about, though. He won't let me play it. I would play it all night on here. I know it would be some cuss words. We'd beep them out.
Oh, yeah. It's just unacceptable. It's frustrating. Hearing you guys talk about it even more, we understand you guys. We got another caller now, Demetrius from North Carolina. Demetrius, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, how y'all doing, fellas?
What's up?
Hey, ain't no need in running. Council, as far as I'm concerned, they cancel all the games. LSU, Alabama got to be played.
Yeah,
ain't no way around it.
Hey, I'm with you, man.
Like
you heard what I said.
When he was a referee, let's get it on.
Yeah.
We ain't got no time to hear these excuses. Let's get it on.
Look, I agree, man, and that's exactly what I said. Especially when you come in and you get that 1 win and 9 tries, and then you say all that stuff. Like, let's just see. I mean, Ed Orgeron is the coach of the year, right? Let's see what he can do.
Yeah. I mean, ain't no excuses. I mean, you lose. That's what that's to show you your coaching skills. Player go down, and you coach the next man up. Come on now. But now you want to talk halfway shaky. Where was all that battleship mouth at? You had a battleship mouth last year, and you was on top of the world. No respect whatsoever. That's what's so frustrating to me. Is these coaches have no respect. Okay, even if you do beat Coach Saban in Alabama, look what Coach Saban have done for the college football. He had put it at a whole different level than what it was before when he got here.
Yeah.
No respect.
Yeah.
I mean, no respect whatsoever. And it's sad. I understand everybody want to win, but you got to put some respect on it. I mean, no class whatsoever.
No.
All for some recruits? Come on now.
And look, Demetrius, I'm going to tell you right now that
it's more to life than that.
What Nick Saban has been able to do is just amazing. I mean, when you look at some point in 13 straight years, being number one. Like it's probably never going to happen again in our lifetime. And look, they may be number one again next year to make it 14. I mean, but this is a streak that's like, Joe DiMaggio's 56 game hitting streak in baseball, or Cal Ripken playing, 2,000 some other games in a row. For a team in college football to be number one for 13 straight years. I mean, that's like John Wooten at UCLA, and the streaks that he had, like we are part of witnessing something that is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you talk about the championships, whether it be the SEC or the national championships or the recruiting championships. And, on what I think is December 16th, we'll have that here again. We'll see how it turns out when early signing comes. But Nick Saban is the best ever. And every year Alabama has the same issues that LSU's having this year, except they just figure out how to make it work with different guys. I mean, look at Tua Tagovailoa right now playing for the Dolphins and what he's been able to do there in the NFL. And here we just plugged Mac Jones right in there.
Exactly. Like I say, it's a respect factor for me. It's a respect game, and I gotta add somebody else in there who showed no respect to Coach Saban. That's all Phil Fulmer in Tennessee. He shows no respect, none whatsoever. And the past is the past. What happened before Coach Saban got there had nothing to do with it. But he shows no respect. He shows no respect to the man. He shows no respect to the program of football. He's just concerned about winning. I mean, it's for the life of just winning. It's how you play the game.
Hey, no doubt about it. But see, and this as an Alabama fan, we score a touchdown and we hand the football to the referee. Like we win a game and our fans aren't running onto the field because we've won every big game there is to win, and we've won them a lot. We don't have to tear the goalpost down. We don't have to run out and jump on the players. You know what? They're going to jog into the locker room. They're going to take a shower and put their clothes on, and they're going to walk out of there excellent, just like they were the game before. Just like they were before Saban got there, when you had Gene Stallings who won a championship. Just like before Gene Stallings, he played for a guy named Bear Bryant. He won championships. Wallace Wade won championships. Frank Thomas won championships. Alabama's been winning championships since 1920s. And that's just the way it is. And it's a respect thing. When you're the big guy on the block, when you're the top dog, you don't have to do all that stuff. You just go out there and do your thing, man. And I think that what Nick Saban's done, and you talk about all those legendary Alabama coaches and All-Americans and players, to see him take this to this level where you're talking about 13 straight years at number one, 5 national championships, how many SEC titles and all this stuff. It really isn't smart when you make talk like Ed O did. And I got my fingers crossed. I just want to see this game. I want to see this game. This one, Iron Bowl 2. This one, though. LSU and Alabama, number 1. Hey, thanks for the call, man. Where are you at in North Carolina?
I'm in Hickory, North Carolina.
Hickory. Oh, nice, man. I used to live in Wilson, so I know all about North Carolina. Out in tobacco country there. Thanks for the call, Demetrius.
Yes, sir.
Hickory. That's where the Hickory Crawdads are out there. Trey, you going to jump back on? You guys want to call in, would love to hear from you, just like Demetrius from North Carolina. Call-in number is 205-850-0883. Look, when you talk about Ed Orgeron and you talk those comments that they made, I was steamed when I saw that last year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no way not to be. And I think Demetrius, Robert, everybody calling in, making great points. There's just a respect factor there with this program. There's a respect not just for the other team, but for yourself as well. You don't want to look back on your winning and look back on sore winners by any means. And on that other side of the token, you never see Alabama being sore losers either. So, I think it's just a respect thing and being there. Alabama's been there a lot. LSU has been there. Don't get me wrong. They just won a national championship. But coming into that season in the recent years, they had lost a lot of those games. They hadn't had the success that Alabama's had. So I get it. I get it. But a respect tune-up, if nothing else, needs to happen there in Baton Rouge. I'm going to take another call real quick. We'll send him on the show in just a minute.
All right, look, Kyle, I'm going to play this for everybody. I know we've been talking about this. This gets us all fired up. Here's Ed Orgeron after last year's game. Whew, let's just watch it. Let's watch it together again, guys.
Right in the middle of the field. Everybody. Hey, we've been waiting for this moment, man. Let's go. Right here in the middle of the damn field. Let's break it down. Tigers on 3. Hell yeah. Because this is our house from now on. Yes, sir. Tigers on 3. 1, 2, 3.
I mean, what else can you say, right? I mean, the video speaks for itself, and I know you guys wanted me to play it again on the chat line. Look, love hanging out with you guys. Give us a thumbs up as you're watching our show tonight. Subscribe to our channel, whether you're an Alabama fan or not. Even if you're an LSU fan, I'm giving your coach a hard time right now. Love having you guys here, man. And every Friday night when we have a game from 6 to 8, we do the Bama Insider Tailgate Show. That's my show. I brought it over from radio. It was started by Baron Huber, former fullback at Alabama. And, I'm just proud to have it here and have Kyle on. And it's been so much fun hanging out with you guys tonight. So give us the thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and let's go back to the phone lines again. All right, we're staying down here in the coast, man. Let's go back to the phones. We'll bring on Parker from Pensacola, Florida. We own that panhandle, Parker. Roll Tide, man. What's going on?
We do. Roll Tide. How are y'all?
Hey, we're good, man. We are good. How you?
I would be great if we were having an Alabama LSU game this week.
Yeah, really.
But so here's my thing, and I know I don't get to make the decisions, but with Auburn having this open weekend, I would have moved the Alabama-Auburn game to this weekend and then pushed the Alabama-LSU game to the Iron Bowl weekend. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, let me read these again to you. These were sent to me earlier this week as possible scenarios for Alabama, and Commissioner Sankey has said that he really wants us to play all the teams to play a 10-game schedule and get through that. And they put in 2 bye weeks for this exact scenario, and so we'll see what happens here. But scenario 1 would be Alabama and LSU next week. The week after that would be Alabama-Auburn. The week after that would be, which was December 5th, would be at Arkansas. And then the December 12th would be Kentucky. And then obviously if it's Alabama, they're going to be playing on the 19th, right? The scenario B would be you play Kentucky this week like scheduled. Then you play Auburn. Then on December 5th, you play LSU. And basically you're just flip-flopping LSU and Arkansas. You play, instead of being off on the 12th to get ready for the title game, you would play Arkansas. So, whatever. Look, I just want to see all 10 games played too.
Football.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want, I want us to stay healthy, but then, I want us to, get our games in. And I love broadcasting is my passion. And I just love I was worried whenever all this started. I was just like, I need my Alabama football, and I was so glad Clemson went down last weekend.
Yeah, I got a feeling that Notre Dame's going to have trouble with Boston College this week. I talked about that earlier. The last time they beat number 1, they played Boston College the next week and lost, They're only, as you would think that if you're the number 2 team in the country, that you would be favored by, a pretty good margin. I just want to look at this again. Notre Dame right now playing at Boston College is a 12-point favorite. So, I mean, that's not a huge spread. And, Notre Dame has a long history of struggling against BC. So who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I just, like I said, I love my football, and I'm just grateful that we were able to, I just want our players to stay healthy, but then, I would love to see a national championship played this year, and
yeah.
But
no, well, look.
I love the show. Thank y'all so much.
Hey, thanks, Parker. You ever been to Joe Patty's before?
I have. if y'all ever get over to the Pensacola area, y'all need to go to the Milton Bakery. Best blueberry donuts on the planet.
Huh. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, this they got this place called Joe Patty's. If you like seafood, it's like the most incredible seafood market I've ever been to. It's right by the Blue Wahoo Stadium in Pensacola. So beautiful area. Parker, thanks for calling in, man.
Thank y'all so much. Roll Tide.
Hey, roll Tide, right? Yeah, Parker calling in from Pensacola, and he wants to see the season completed. I want to see the season completed. You guys want to see the season completed. Like, you know, I'm just glad that Commissioner Sankey has been so adamant about us completing the season. I think you have to have that. You know, I don't think when I see the Big Ten, it's like, you know, they got 1 foot in, they got 1 foot out. They got 1 foot in, they got 1 foot out. You know, and it's like, hey, you know, same thing with the Pac-12. You know, ACC has said, hey, we're playing. The Big 12 said they're playing. The SEC said they're playing, and they've done it. And they've given themselves, you know, some room for weeks like this where we've had some COVID. And it really is, from what I was told, is that the COVID situation isn't that the players are all having COVID, that it's contact tracing. A couple guys have it, and then other people are around them. And so, you know, it's an abundance of caution right now. But, you know, just the thought of us taking the college football season and canceling it or something like that, I just hope that we fight like hell to demand that these guys play, because I think it's safe. We've seen that already. And the players want to play. They want to be there. We want them to be there. And, you know, it would just be a real shame if they took that away from the kids, most importantly. All right, look, phone lines, we got them open right now. We want to hear from you guys. Subscribe to our channel, Bama Insider on YouTube. Give us the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Trey, with that amazing voice, the deep pipes, he appreciates it. Kyle appreciates it. Thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel as we talk to you on a Friday night about Alabama football. Let's go back to the phone lines again at 205-850-0883. Let's bring in Sam from Alabama. Sam, where are you calling from in Alabama, my friend?
I'm here in Birmingham area.
Birmingham. All right. What you got on your mind tonight?
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm with you, Mick, man. We got to play the game. What the shenanigans that Ed Orgeron displayed last year, man. He is owed a butt whooping for the way he behaved last year. You know.
Yes.
I remember Coach Saban would tell his players, you know, after they may have celebrated after scoring a touchdown and got a penalty. Saban would always tell this player, act like you've been there before. You know.
And hold that thought. When he first got to Alabama, do you remember him trying to like train those kids to act like they were winners? You remember the 2007 season? The beginning of the year, you know, Keith Brown, guys like that, they score and they're, you know, doing all this stuff, and he would just lose it. And then as he taught these guys the process, and we saw it in 2008 and 2009, you know, like all of a sudden there was just this mystique that I don't need to like point, and I don't need to jump in anybody's face, and I don't need to do all this stuff. I'm just going to act like I've been there. Here's the football, Mr. Official. I'll see you next time I'm down here.
Right. And I think Ed Orgeron's he's been a part of a championship team, haven't he? When he was at USC.
Yeah.
Am I mistaken?
No, you're right. And he's a good coach.
Yeah,
like, I mean, I make fun of him, but he's a good coach.
He's a good coach. I mean, I say he's a good recruiter. I don't know about his coaching skills, but yeah, I mean, act like you've been there before, man. And he did not display that last year. He almost took on the part of being a cheerleader for his team. Kind of reminds me of something that Gus Malzahn does over at Auburn, man. Take on the role of a cheerleader. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, in my opinion, you know, I believe that his team has come down with COVID or whatever, but just listening to him at his press conferences, man, it almost seemed like he didn't want to play. You know, he was hoping that the game got canceled in a sense, you know.
I got that feeling too.
And just listening to, listen to his press conference. I think it was on Wednesday. He was saying that he was thinking that he moved on to Arkansas because he was thinking that the SEC was going to cancel the Alabama game. And, to me, I mean, he didn't want to play. That right there told me that he didn't want to play us, man, because he knew what was about to go down,
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think?
No, I told Kyle, like, off the air. I said I saw his press conference, and they asked him, about, like, what the situation was, like, because we knew going into this season, just the way everything was set up, there's going to be some times where you're not going to have all your players. We saw it in Major League Baseball, the NFL the same way. College football is going to be that. Like, if somebody has COVID or they have, like, a contact tracing issue, they're going to have to sit out. Somebody else is going to have to step up and play. That's the only way that you can get through the season, right? And they asked him about it, and he's like, and he's talking all that the way he talks, and he's like, but we want to play Alabama. And I'm going, man, you don't want to. Like, I could tell by the way you said that you don't want to play Alabama. You're hoping that you don't play Alabama. You don't want any of that, man. The last thing you want is to have to go to midfield and shake Nick Saban's hand when you're looking at a 70-0 score on that scoreboard.
Yeah, it's a facade, man. He's putting on like he really want to play us, but he came out and said, "Well, I will play Alabama anywhere, anytime." And when you say stuff like that, you don't really mean it. But
he's got to know what's coming too.
He's old. So how do you think they're going to rearrange if they do play reschedule the game? How are they going to do that? I don't understand how they're going to do that, given the fact that they play Florida on the 12th of December.
Well, and I'm going to go through these again, and I don't know how accurate this is. Okay, but I got these earlier this week. And these were a couple scenarios that were I was told were being considered, right? Now, talking to some people today, this also depends on the COVID situation next week with all the other teams involved. The fact that we have so many cancellations actually kind of helps us because now all of a sudden you have other teams that need to move games around. And if you're trying to play all 10 games and you're trying to do that before December 19th, or as the commissioner said, maybe you use December 19th for teams that aren't playing for an SEC championship. That also opens up December 12th for you to play another game. So there are options out there. But here's the two scenarios that I was given. And again, this was earlier this week, so that were being considered. LSU next week, November 21st, at LSU would be scenario one. Then play the Iron Bowl on the 28th. Then at Arkansas on the 5th, which was already scheduled, and then Kentucky on the 12th. So basically you're taking Kentucky, which is supposed to be this week, and you're moving it to that off week and, the bye week before the SEC title game, and you're playing LSU. That's fine with me. I'd love to see that. Let's just go ahead and get to Baton Rouge and take care of business. I would love to see that. All right, scenario B is you play Kentucky like scheduled this week, then you play Auburn the next week, then you play at LSU, right? And then you flop Arkansas, which was supposed to be on December 5th to December 12th, and you play at Arkansas. So you'd go Kentucky, Iron Bowl, at LSU, and then at Arkansas. So basically you're taking the Arkansas game, moving it back a week, and playing LSU in its spot. So LSU has to play Florida in that off week. That gets the job done too. And that also, I'm guessing that's probably scenario B is probably the one that would work the best just because it gives you some time to kind of see what's going to happen with the other teams in COVID as well. You already got Kentucky. Kentucky's playing this week. They didn't have any COVID issues. Alabama had one case. They're fine. Get them out on the field next week in Tuscaloosa. Let everybody else catch up, and maybe you slide them in there. But I just think this. I could care less about Alabama and Kentucky. I could care less about Arkansas and Alabama. I want to see Alabama and Auburn, and I want to see Alabama and LSU, and I think that the majority of college football agrees with me.
Yeah, my thing is I understand the rearrangement of Alabama's schedule, but the rearrangement of LSU's schedule, given the fact that they have to play A&M and Arkansas and I think Ole Miss in the West, and then they got Florida. But I understand what you're saying. Get rid of Florida. It'll make it easier. Get rid of Florida for LSU, and get rid of Kentucky for Alabama. And that would make it a lot easier.
Yeah, well, that's if you eliminate a game. The scenarios that I got are basically LSU's just playing Alabama. They would move the Florida game a week up in one, right? And let me look at it again. No, they would play Alabama on the 5th and then play Florida on the 12th. So right now they're playing that makeup game against Florida on the 12th. So scenario B would be basically they just play Alabama the week before, and Alabama moves their game against Arkansas to that off week. So both teams are available, for that week. So yeah, so everybody in these scenarios, they looked at the other schedules too, and it works for everyone, right? It would just be a pain in the backside as far as like travel and stuff like that. But it's not like you're talking about 25% capacity anyway. So what's it really matter? I mean, like. People are going to get there or they're not going to get there. I think the most important thing is playing the game, getting them on TV where everyone can watch them and play them. There doesn't need to be a disruption in the Alabama-LSU series, in my opinion, Sam.
Yeah. And plus, they need the money anyway. They only had like 2 games this year at home, I believe.
Right.
And plus, I think they're hurting in the economic-wise in their program overall. So, they need a little something in their pocket. So, yeah, I mean, I go down there and play them at any time. I play them at midnight, early in the morning, 12 a.m.,
Yeah.
And as long as we can play that game, I'm cool with it. But I appreciate y'all for taking my call, man, and I thank y'all for what y'all bring to us every week. And I look forward to, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow.
There's some games on.
I was going to celebrate with some of my family and watch the ball game, but that's not happening. So
yeah, well, Sam, we appreciate it, and don't forget next Friday night, the Bama Insider Tailgate Show will be live on here from 6 to 8. Kyle and I will do that. I'll be at Rounders on the Strip unless something changes and we're on the road, but we'll have programming all week. And so it'll be exciting once we get past Saturday and we got another game scheduled for next Saturday. Sunday we'll kind of get back into like doing what we do, man, getting ready for football this time of year.
right.
Fingers crossed that we continue to play and that some being doesn't come down and cancel this season, because I don't know what I would do without college football right now, man. I don't think after everything I've been through this year, I can't think about life without college. Thanks for the call, man. Roll Tide. That was Sam from Birmingham. Hey, love to hear from you guys. 205-850-0883. Trey Yannity and me with you tonight on a Friday, talking Alabama football. If you're watching, like I'm sure you are, on the Bama Insider YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Man, we appreciate that so much, man. There's, we've had 150 people on watching right now, and no telling how many people are going to watch once this thing's in the can, and you just click on there. But we appreciate it so much. I mean, that's what makes this great. All right, yeah, I'm going to throw this one up here right now. Don says, grow up, you'll survive if college football is canceled this season. Don, I will not, man. I want college football to play. I'm going to tell you, and I'm probably speaking for a lot of people that are out there, this has been the absolutely worst year. And I mean, I'm enjoying this football so much, like not just the fact that I get to work, but just just the fact that it's been fun to to go through this and watch these games and have something to take my mind off of everything else that's going on in this world, because 2020 has been a crazy season. I hope that this thing continues. We finish up this season. We have a national championship game. Look, I'm down with, if you want to wear a mask, I'm doing that. We got the mask mandate in Alabama. I walk out of here, I put the mask on, and all that stuff. Wash your hands, be vigilant on all that stuff. But we can't. I just don't think that we can just throw our hands up and go back inside and hide out, man. I just want to, just live my life and I think a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people feel like you, and you know what? It's been terrible. And for people that have like the pre-existing conditions and stuff, man, I say stay inside, you know, and just stay away from people. You know, I had the COVID. My whole family had it in March, I think, maybe it's April. And you know what? It wasn't great. It wasn't a lot of fun, but we all made it. So anyway, all right, look, love having you guys on here. Let's go back to the phones again. Would love to hear from you. 205-850-0883. That's the phone number. Thumbs up, subscribe. Hit us on the message board. No matter what you're saying, I appreciate the fact that you're on here and you're hanging out with us tonight. Sean from Huntsville, going North Alabama tonight. How you doing, man?
Hey, guys. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Roll Tide. What's on your mind tonight?
Listen, I wanted to bring a little different perspective to the situation. I mean, you got to put your coaching hat on now. You might not understand if you leave your fan hat on. I had to take my fan hat off and put my coaching hat on to understand what I'm about to say. So I need everybody to pay attention to what's going on with the media and how even in a non-COVID year, the influence that college football shows, media shows, sports talk shows have on the college football playoff. Everybody pay attention to what's going on with Notre Dame and Ohio State. The media is wanting these guys in the playoff. And I understand because of the year and you need as many eyeballs as you possibly can. If you look at Ohio State guys, these guys don't have another big game in their conference at all, and outside Wisconsin. And that game has been a blowout for the last 2 years. They have played 3 teams with a combined total of 1 win. And you say, okay, but look at the love they're getting. You would think these guys have beat 2 or 3 top 10 teams. So that tells you what they have in store. So for me, as a coach, I would love to smash on LSU, man. As a fan, you know you want to see us get those guys back. But you know what, guys? If we can get through these last, 4 games, I think it is, without playing LSU to get us to the SEC championship healthy, I don't got to see us beat LSU. I don't have to as far as my coaching side. I don't have to see us play LSU. That's another game that I know we're going to win by 50 or 60, that we possibly could get somebody hurt. And that could happen in any game. But if we can get through these last 4 games, go ahead and get ready for the SEC championship and get to the playoffs. I say if we can get through as many, let's get through it. Let's get through it, man. For the simple fact that my fan side would love to smash on LSU, but if we can get by without playing those guys, that's just another game that we don't have to play to impress anybody. You know what I mean? And if you look at these other conferences, how paper thin their schedule is, man, they are trying. They do not want to see 2 SEC teams, and Texas A&M is playing extremely well right now. Those guys are playing extremely well. I said back in October when we played them, I said these guys are going to be good. They're going to be good. Texas A&M was physical. They do not want to see 2 SEC teams anywhere near that top 4 or 5 teams. If you look what they're doing now, they're putting everybody and their mama over Texas A&M, Cincinnati, BYU. They're trying their best and setting it up right now so they will not have 2 SEC teams unless Florida beat us, and maybe then we'll still get in. But at the same time, I don't have to see it, man. I really, had a talk with myself and said, do I need to see us beat LSU? I would love it. I would love nothing more but to go into Baton Rouge and to embarrass those guys. But you know what? Considering we've already lost Jalen Waddle, man, I said let's get through these last 3-4 games. Let's get to the SEC championship, and let's put our eyes on a bigger prize. We'll catch LSU next year right here at home where they talked all that jazz at. You know what I mean? And it might be even sweeter. So that's my take on it. I want to see what you guys thought about that.
Well, you're basically saying that beating LSU, even though we'd love it, it's a guilty pleasure for us. That we got to be looking at the bigger prize right now, and that's bringing home number 18.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you're telling me, Bama, we see what you guys have done. You guys have built up enough cachet. We don't have to see you guys play LSU. I have to take the fan in me and put it in the back seat just for a second. Okay, cool. Let's get through these last, 3-4 games, and let us get to what we playing for. We'll catch LSU, man. We will catch them. Let's not be greedy. Go out there and get somebody hurt, and then we like, oh, man, we could have just saved this game. You know what I mean? We'll catch those guys, man. Everybody know what was going to happen in that game. So do Ed Ogeron. He knows. Trust me. Everybody knows. Their own players know. They tweeting about it, making jokes about it and stuff.
Yeah.
So let's think big picture. Let's get through these last few games, man. We got a couple more games to go. We got Jalen hurt. Let's get everybody healthy. Let's get through these last few games, and let's get to that SEC championship and do what we came to do.
Yeah.
What you guys think about that?
Well, I'd love to see that. Look, I just want to see the season continue. I want to finish up the season, and it's been a lot of fun watching this team play. And then the thing about college football that's different than the NFL and all these other sports are that you only have this team together for 1 year. Every single season looks completely different, and I've enjoyed watching Najee run the ball and Waddle before he was hurt. But I've been a huge Smitty fan. I mean, he's like the fourth Beatle. Like he's like George Harrison. Like everybody was talking about John and Paul and Ringo, and now all of a sudden you got Smitty there. And it's like, hey, you know what? This guy's been great since he's been there. I mean, this guy caught the game-winning pass, the biggest play ever in college football history, right? When Alabama stunned Georgia. And then Mac. I just can't really believe how good Mac has been. I mean, it's been awesome watching this guy. So I want to see these guys finish, man. I just want to see what they can do.
I do too, man. I do too. But I tell everybody, if you ask me, it should be Alabama. It should be, I would say, Notre Dame. They're undefeated. It should be Clemson and Texas A&M with Ohio State at 4 or 5. I don't think these guys deserve to be number 2 right now. They have played. I understand they're going off cachet and how they look against these guys. But I watched that Rutgers game, man. And Rutgers is no juggernaut. And they struggled that second half. And I understand it just happens sometimes. You can say the same thing about us and Ole Miss. You know what I mean? But at the same time, look at Texas A&M's cachet. They built up enough cachet beating Florida to be ahead of Ohio State, to be ahead of some of these schools, but they're not. So that tells me we got to be mindful and think of the big picture. We got to get these SEC teams up there. They're playing well, and give us credit. We're the best college football conference it is, and they trying to find all these extra entities to help other conferences get their teams up there. Yeah, I just want the SEC to do well. I want the guys to do well. And I want, of course, my Tide to do well, man. But listen, I thank you guys for taking my call, man. And I'll continue to support.
Hey, thanks, Sean. Yeah, make sure you give us a thumbs up. I know you're subscribed to the channel already. We appreciate you. And we appreciate all you guys. Phone lines are open. And we'd love to hear from you. 205-850-0883. He's Trey Yanity. I'm Mick Gillispie. Kyle Henderson is on assignment tonight. Next week, the Bama Insider Tailgate Show, Trey, we'll be back at it again. Are you going to join me at Rounders next week? I hope you do.
I don't know yet. It's whatever boss man tells me. But I'm down
it's a possibility, right?
Yeah, we'll keep it open.
Well, it's been so much fun, like us hanging out, like getting to do the show at Rounders and Innisfree. We were supposed to be at the Floribama this week, and we'll be there when Alabama plays Arkansas, and then if Alabama ends up playing LSU, we'll go back there again. Let me ask you, do you think Alabama's going to get these 4 games in?
I think they will at this point. If we are talking in a week and things haven't cleared up at all, I think it could be hard because, it's realistic to play all 4. The SEC planned on this. They built in that week for a reason. I don't think it's the best, maybe idea in the world. I'm with Sean all the way. I think, from a coach's standpoint, from, inside the organization, you write that game off. That's a team that 9 times out of 10 this year you beat. And maybe even 10 times out of 10, Alabama is marginally better than LSU. So I think you got to move on. It's not the end of the world if that game's not played. The committee is going to take everything into consideration.
Like Sean said, you're kind of agreeing with Sean a little bit.
Yeah,
put your coach's hat on.
Yeah,
he said put your coach's hat on.
Yeah, it would be great. We've been talking about it all show long. We want that chance to play LSU again and get the revenge. Treat them with class and do it respectively.
Oh, yeah.
But you want to get that win. You want to play this team again. But if you don't, it's not the end of the world. Even if you don't play any of the teams left on your regular season, you've done enough if you're Alabama at this point to get into the playoff. You've showcased the offense. The defense has come along. You have a top 5 win. you're obviously undefeated to this point with another, top 5 win now in Texas A&M as well. So you've done what you need to do to get in the playoff. It's not the end of the world if they don't play all 4, but I think they could. Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out.
Well, I mean, part of this is, we're licking our chops just like we figure the team is to get a chance to play LSU. But, when you look at everything else that's going on, you're like, you know what? I just kind of want to make sure that we play football.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's a big part of this as well. You just want to watch the games. Trey, before we talk anything else, let me remind everyone that there is a holiday special going on right now. This is a really good deal. If you get a Bama Insider membership right now, you pay $75 for it. For the year, you get $75 in Nike gear. They send you a Nike gear card, a gift certificate. So it's basically like getting a free membership. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can buy with $75 at Nike, including gear, Alabama gear, and all that stuff. No annual subscription, a new annual subscription only. And offers valid while supplies last, and there's certain restrictions. But I thought it was a great deal. Kyle wanted me to pass that on to you guys. Be a great gift as well. I mean, you buy, your brother a Bama Insider year subscription, and then you keep the gift card.
Yeah.
Right, Trey?
This is an
so
awesome
you
deal.
got $75. He, in Nike gear, and or maybe you buy it for yourself and you give the gift card away.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you get a present with the card. You get some gear for yourself. Sit down and watch the Bama Insider Tailgate show, whatever else in your new Bama gear. It's like you're getting a free membership. Look at Kyle, man. We had the what was it, $20 subscription last month, something like that. We got the gift cards coming this month. It's feeling generous right now, guys. Take advantage while you can.
It's that holiday season.
Yeah.
That's rolling up. So, well, look, man, this has been a lot of fun. Like I feel like we've kind of done our thing tonight. It's not what we wanted. I mean, we wanted to have the Bama Insider Tailgate show. We wanted to do that from Floribama. We wanted Alabama and LSU. Can you imagine what it would have been like doing it on the line with all those Tiger fans around? They would have been, growling at us and calling us Tiger bait. And hopefully we'll get to do that again. So if they do reschedule the game, we will be, for those of you that are watching on the Gulf Coast, we will be at Floribama. We're going to do the show from the big tent. So, if you've ever been there before, we'll be there from 6 to 8 to do the show for LSU and Arkansas, and possibly the SEC championship game if we don't make up the LSU game. But can't say I appreciate you guys enough. Can't tell you how much fun it's been to just talk college football tonight. Before we bid everyone farewell, Trey, any final thoughts?
Guys, there's great football on tomorrow. There's no Alabama football. Go smoke yourself a Boston Bud or something, have some family time. It's that time of the year. So enjoy it. It's sad. We're all sad no Bama football is going on, but it's still going to be a great day. Go live it up. Go watch some NFL on Sunday too. Why not?
Yeah, and check out some of the shows that we have on here. I talked to JP Shadrick. It's a podcast. You can watch it as well. We looked around the NFL. JP works for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Talked about Tua, the 2 Heisman Trophy winners at Alabama. We'll do the show next week. And there's so many great players in the NFL right now who have Bama ties. It's hard to hit them all in one show. We didn't get on Ruggs. We didn't talk Julio. We didn't talk Jacobs. But we did talk a lot of great NFL guys, and we'll do it again next week. Also, tomorrow we'll probably pop on for a little bit and just kind of preview what's going on in college football. Sunday we'll have my conversation on our podcast with Max Howe, former coach and radio guy and good friend Max Howe. We'll do that, the Max and Mick podcast, and much more. I mean, we're just popping it out for you. Make sure you like what we're doing with the thumbs up. It's free. We've had hundreds of people on here with us tonight. Make sure you give us the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and again, let's keep our fingers crossed that things get back to normal again in Alabama and Kentucky, or Alabama and LSU. Could be one or the other play next week. All right, hey, Trey, I know you got a bunch of stuff to do on campus tonight. I don't want to hold you up anymore, But appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me as always, Mick. It's been great joining you guys. Thanks for all the comments, the likes, everything else, guys. As always, it's a pleasure. We'll see you Monday. I guess I'll see you Monday Night Quarterback. But you guys take it away for the weekend.
Monday Night QB, and he's right. You guys are the most important part of this whole scenario. Roll Tide to everyone. And for Kyle Henderson, Trey Annity, I'm Mick Gillispie. Thanks for watching our show, guys. We'll talk to you again real soon. Roll Tide.